need their honesty, and you're honest with family in ways that you're not honest with other people.
For sure. Me and Chris are like literally we solve 90% of problems by arguing with each other. Like we're like, let's just fight for like an hour, and then our end goal is right there at the end of the fight.
How do you educate somebody who's not part of your family on how your process works?
See, that I think is that's my biggest struggle, where like I also am like, I think I'm just a very like blunt human being because of the fact that like especially it like goes into like, it's so difficult to talk to people differently than the way I talk to Matt and Chris. But people, when they get to become my friend, they eventually start to realize that I am just like going to say it how it is, like how I see. So it's like when I'm first becoming friends with someone, I kind of like tone that back, and it's kind of sometimes hard for me to tone that back. But once I get to know someone really, really well, I talk to them like I talk to Matt and Chris, which sometimes is a scary thing, but then they start to realize that they can do it to me as well, and it's like it is more problem solving that way.
That's also how you build like friends that turn into family, right?
Yeah, like there's a good collection of people in my life that I feel very comfortable equally like starting an argument with, like jokingly kind of, to like get to like the issue or problem. But I've also never in my life been in a long lasting friendship that has had more than like 3 arguments. Like I never argue with friends. The second I feel like you're arguing with a friend like super consistently, it's just not worth it to like attempt to continue to mend a friendship. Like a friendship has to be there for you to like find joy in being friends with that person, and not like, if you're constantly problem solving, there's so many other people in the world that are like on the same path as you that it makes more sense to be friends with.
How would you describe what you do for a living?
I don't know. I never can answer that question. If someone's like, what are you? I really juggle with like influencer, content creator, comedian. Cause like I'd say our videos, like we do create content, but our content is funny. So it's like I sometimes will say, like, especially with me, Matt and Chris touring and actually doing something on a stage, that to me is when I feel more like a comedian than like an influencer. Cause I genuinely am like on a stage, like essentially telling jokes. Like I'd say our tours and like our stage presence is more of like a comedy show than it is influencer based. But I always struggle with that, especially like explaining it to my parents. Like I'm like, I don't know at all. I really don't. I just know that it's working.
You were talking not too long ago about how you weren't comfortable swimming in front of people, but you have a good friend that has a pool. And
oh yeah,
was that Madison you were talking about?
Yeah, I hate being shirtless.
Oh, me too.
I hate it. Least favorite thing ever. I was a beach and pool shirt guy my whole life.
Me too.
Never shirtless ever.
You wear like the really the spandex like rash guards,
dry fit shirts.
Yeah, terrible.
I hate that, and it's like it's so funny. I have shirts for like every occasion. Like I sleep in shirts. Like I have like. Shirt textures are my thing. Like a shirt texture can take me to an environment. Like I got pool shirts, I got sleep shirts that I need. There's like certain shirts that I can literally touch or look at and be like, I know exactly the situation I would be for this, but that's a side note. But just the pool shirts is like that was my entire life. I had never felt comfortable in front of a group of people like shirtless and like jumping in a pool. Even like Matt and Chris, like if we went on like family vacation, I just would hate being out, because what if someone else comes to this like public pool?
Oh, I've never related to anything more in my life.
And especially being like someone in the public image, I'd hate someone taking my photo at like a beach shirtless, and then it's just like
that happened to me once.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, I don't even want to tell you what I do to myself. I'd be so mad,
brother. I can count the amount of times I've been shirtless in a public forum. It's about 3.
There's 0 photos of me on the internet shirtless at all either. I'm like, refuse this.
So what do you do? Do you just not go into the pool? Because that's what I would do.
I don't. No.
I just watch them in the pool.
I either never go into a pool or I went in with a shirt on. Like one of my friends in Boston has a backyard with a pool in it. That was like my man Chris' like childhood pool scenario was her house. And we went constantly, and we would always go constantly. We're still friends with her to this day, and I think I've swam in that pool shirtless 0 times. But we'd go and I'd either swim shirtless or watch everybody swim. And actually, I know Chris told you all about our house fire, so I'm not going to tell you again. But when our house was on fire, Matt and Chris slept in because they were playing Fortnite that whole night. I was the first time I'd ever made plans independently of like, I'm going to get up and leave the house. And I went to my friend's pool, and I found out our house was on fire like the first time I was shirtless in that pool.
Really?
I was shirtless in the pool, and I remember my friend Taylor was sitting at the table. She's like, Nick, your dad's calling you. Your dad's calling you. He called you 3 times. I was like, okay. Pass me my phone. So she gave me my phone. My house on fire. I was like, yeah. clearly things will go wrong if I was like, I've made progress. I'm swimming shirtless in this pool. My house is on fire.
And everything
I'm
you
never
own
doing
just
this again.
burns.
Yeah, it's like I have no option now but to be shirtless. All my shirts are on fire. I don't own shirts anymore. It was terrible. But yeah, I was like, if this is what the cause and effect is, I'm like losing my mind. So,
Was that the last time you were shirtless?
no, so Madison's house, I feel really comfortable swimming in her pool shirtless at this point. I was so confused because I remember a really like defining moment in me figuring out a lot about myself was me, Matt, and Chris were together and like we were in Maine on like this family vacation that we would like annually go on, and I think we were like 9 or like 8. And they were pissing me off, and I was like, "You guys are being fucking annoying. Like that's gay." Or I said something about gay people negatively, and one of the moms that was like on the trip heard me because there was like windows open like upstairs, and my mom didn't know that I was like saying stuff like that either, like to Matt and Chris negatively, because she would have stopped me then and there. But the other mom heard me, and she has like gay kids of her own that are way older that are like. Probably in this scenario, they were like, I don't know, like 18 or something. And she told my mom, and she's like, me and you should talk to your boys about like why that's wrong. So my mom's friend, I always praise her for like,
It's really,
I don't even think she really knows
a big
that
deal.
she doesn't know the impact that it had in like my thought process of stuff. Is like her and my mom got together and told me, Matt and Chris, like why we can't negatively be saying stuff like that, even though I was the only one that was doing it. And that's like the most ironic thing about it is like I had straight brothers and straight friends, and I'm calling these people gay negatively as
We
a
tend to
literal
project, though.
gay kid. Like I'm like, you're literally actually a gay little boy and you're calling people gay negatively consistently. Like I would consistently be that. It was like deflecting in my own brain.
100%. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
projecting, you're deflecting, you're doing the
Yeah.
whole fucking thing.
But it did. I don't think I could fully confidently even say in my own head like I'm gay as a thought until like freshman year of high school.
But then there are people who are so themselves.
I was about to say
You're
that.
friends with Madison Beer, right?
I was
I'll make
about
the-
to say I'm like very hopeful that people don't think I'm talking about her
No,
because
but that
she's
bitch
genuinely.
she's the most genuine person. I'll tell you this. That motherfucker, the same person that you get on the couch is the same person you get backstage at a concert. It's the same
Yeah.
person you get backstage at a listening event.
She's
Same person you get at a
exactly-
party, her house, don't matter.
Yeah. I remember the first time me, Matt, and Chris had ever met her. She's like one of our, like, I feel like one of my closest friends right now is like, I remember being at her house and she was like just playing with her dog and something simple like that. I remember like driving home and I don't think I stopped talking about her playing with her dog for like 10 minutes. I think. I was like, it's just like, it reminded me so much of like friendships that I had when I was in like 7th and 8th grade and 6th grade. Cause it was like genuinely just like meeting someone at school and like you just are immediately click with them and you are just like, because they're completely authentically themselves. Like I remember just seeing her and it almost like makes me emotional thinking about someone that way. Cause it was like when I had met her, I was just like, it was like unbelievable to me how good I felt about meeting a human being. It actually shocked me. I did not stop talking about it for like 20 minutes.
That's a good friendship that you guys have built.
Yeah.
How'd you even meet for the first time?
I think she had seen just one of our videos and found us funny. And then she had DM'd me and said, "You're funny." And I was like, "Thank you." And then we hadn't acted on that one DM interaction. And then a year had passed and me, Matt, and Chris go to Boston frequently. And we were about to go to Boston. I was like, you know what? I'm going to like take a stab at this again. And I DM'd her and I was like, I know that you are who you are. You probably have plans tonight. You're the busiest human being ever, probably, because I feel busy as me and she's her. And I'm like, I don't even want to think about what's on your calendar. But
Her social calendar ain't that full.
I was just like,
She's at home.
I was like, I'll take this risk. I texted her and I was just like, hey, what are you doing? And she's like, tomorrow, because we're leaving to Boston in 2 days. Like, if you have nothing tomorrow, like, we can do something. So we met out that night and we just got along super well. And that was really it. And then from that, we just got really, really close and she's amazing.
Why do you think people watch you?
I don't know. Once again, like all of these, like I think it was honestly like really like a stars aligning situation. Cause me, Matt, and Chris really like, cause I see like our engagement and people who care about us compared to like other people. And I'm like, why is
Or, like,
ours really good?
Or
Like,
full blown celebrities. You can compare your engagement to somebody who's been like a celebrity, a very famous celebrity for a long time, and you win.
and that's why I'm like, why? Why at all? Like, I remember Chris made a joke. Me and him were live on Instagram and Matt was taking a nap and he was like, everyone go comment Fortnite under Matt's new recent. And then he'll wake up from his nap and be like, why is everyone commenting Fortnite under my post? And an hour later we checked and Matt woke up and he had like 13,000 comments on his post. And I'm like, the fact that you just summoned I'd say there's probably 1,000 comments already. I'm like, or like maybe like 2,000. I'm like, the fact that you just summoned about 11,000 people to commit an action you jokingly made on live is insane to me. I have no idea what the draw is to me, Matt and Chris, but I think it starts with being triplets, because triplets is like an anomaly. It's like, what is this? Like that, it's like insane already. So then it's like, on top of being triplets, we just started posting everything we were doing, and I do feel like I am funny. I know that I'm funny, luckily. And I think that like not only were we triplets, but like we have personalities that I feel like are worth watching to some people, I guess. Like if I wasn't me, I'd be a fan of myself, I think. Because I think of like the Dolan twins. Like I loved their videos. There was like a lot of YouTubers that, and like just even people who I was super invested in their lives before. And I can picture myself being a fan of like someone like me like 3 years ago. Because I was in every single one of our fans' shoes now, literally 3 years ago. That's why I'm always like blessed. Like this is the best case scenario to be a gay person ever is on the internet, because it's like I'm surrounded by girls or like guys. Like the only person I've ever been like shipped with on the internet is Larry, and it's because we filmed YouTube videos together, and he's another gay guy. And it's like, guys, you're grasping at straws. This is the first time I've been seen with a gay person, so you're like taking this one fucking thing that you can. You know what I mean? And that's why I feel for like people like Madison and Matt and Chris. It's like they're all just in like the public space, and it's like anytime boys and girls are near each other, it's just like, ooh, who's dating who? Who's dating who? It's like, we're friends, and please, like, just like people on the internet need to understand that boys and girls can be friends. I don't know why it's 2023 and this is something that has to be consistently clarified, or 2024. Like boys and girls can be friends, and that me being gay growing up, I always was friends with girls more than guys, and Matt and Chris felt I was kind of like our like lead person for making friends, and like I was the most social for sure out of the three of us. So it's like in school environments and sport environments, like I would always make our friends. So Matt and Chris have always gravitated toward being friends with girls because I've made our first friends, and all our first friends were girls.
You recently said that you feel like you guys have been posting quantity instead of over quality.
Absolutely.
When did you get to that point, and did you just feel like you had the pressure to just keep up with the schedule, so you're just putting out whatever you can to keep up with it?
I think me, Matt, and Chris having a posting schedule was our biggest blessing and curse at the same time, because I don't think we would have gotten as far as we did in our career without the schedule. But then at a certain point, it kind of became like a burden of like finding ourselves on Tuesday night needing to post Wednesday. Like I'd say car videos are always easy. That's me, Matt, and Chris, how we usually are, and talking to each other. But trying to like whip something up on a Tuesday for Wednesday, that was when we kind of realized it's like we are filming and we don't want to be. I'd say there's only maybe 9 to 10 videos on the internet that I'm kind of like, I can look at and remember like, yeah, that was like definitely like a post of like sticking to our schedule. But that's why we're kind of getting to a point where it's like, it's not worth putting out content and feeling like that. I feel so gross doing that, like putting out a video, being like on a schedule. But then people are like, me, Matt, and Chris, and our fans love that schedule. It works well for all of us. They like it. They've implemented it into their daily lives. Like I know people who are like, will post TikToks like, I don't make plans on Fridays, or I tell my parents I can't go to dinner because I'm like, I have a Sterniola triplet video to watch. So the schedule works really well for me, Matt and Chris, and the fans. But I'd say it got to a point where it was like just feeling the way of like, this is not a good video, but we're posting it anyway. But we haven't felt like that in forever, and that's why hopefully implementing like a possible new schedule will be our best case scenario.
What does a quality video mean and look like to you?
Quality video, like me, Matt, and Chris have gone out several times and been recording, and then like 40 minutes in, been like, yeah, we're done. We're not putting whatever the experience we just had right now onto the internet ever. So I'd say a quality video is more of like, we're forgetting to film. We're forgetting that we're filming. Like me, Matt, and Chris will get in the car and be joking around with each other, and then the camera will make the noise that it cuts, and we'll all like look and be like, what was that? And it'll be like, oh my God, like we're filming a video right now. Like sometimes I genuinely forget that there's a camera on us in the car, or like what we're doing. But quantity is definitely that feeling of like, oh God, we have to like post. But quality content has been like more planned out. And me, Matt, and Chris have good like a good enough like comedic relationship that like I genuinely believe if someone put us in like a white room and was like, you have to make a video by next week, like we'd have a very solid video to put out. Like it's an easy task to put me, Matt, and Chris anywhere and be like, can you make a video doing this? We'd be like, absolutely. It's like the easiest thing for us three. And it's like three people who are super different that look exactly the same getting together to like joke around is what I always love most about our content. It's like me, Matt, and Chris, I don't think would be people that would become friends if we weren't triplet siblings. You know what I mean? Like that's like what it is.
Great.
Like it's forced proximity. If like these guys are your friends, it's like now it's like obviously the best friendship I have in the world, but it was because of forced proximity of being triplets.
I have a dumb question. Don't you and your brothers have the same build though, like the same body?
Not at all.
Really?
No, I'd say my entire life, I think I've been a solid 30 pounds heavier than Matt and Chris my whole life. And it's like, look at the luck of those straws, right? We're pulling straws and I get the 30-pound heavier your whole life straw. How fun is this, right? Matt is tiny. Chris, like, he fluctuates in weight more than me or Matt. Like, Chris can look like Matt one day and then fucking rifle through a case of Pepsis and then go back. But it's weird. His metabolism, like, works weirdly. Like, he's super skinny, super not, super skinny, super not. But Matt, I'd say, is, like, Matt is way tinier than I am.
How'd you know you were gay?
Oh, my God, I didn't. And I was like, it took me forever. And I think the realization was... The realization was I thought I liked this girl, but I liked her boyfriend. And that is when it set in for me. It was in like freshman year. But also it's like...
We'd explain that.
Especially like... Well, I don't know how my brain like tricked myself into thinking it was her. But I think being a triplet is like... People are constantly saying, you guys are the exact same person. You're so similar. You guys look alike. This, and that. So it's like... When I was the only one, I feel like, with gay intrusive thoughts... It was like super out of left field. And it's like no one steered me away from being authentically myself. I just thought that I had to replicate what Matt and Chris were doing. So like realizing I was gay, it took me so long to actually have those pieces of my brain like click together because Matt and Chris, it was like the first time they weren't also going through that. So I think like... That's
crazy. This is the first experience that was solely yours.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd say like figuring out I was gay, I was like, oh my God, that is like me and Chris are not fully aligned mentally.
You share everything else for the most part.
Like literally, I remember growing up and like I was so blindsided about like just lifestyles. Like I wasn't surrounded by like a gay person ever or like influenced by a gay person to think about like that as a possible scenario for me. So I remember like going to school and like people would be like, oh, that's gay or this is gay or that's gay. Those are things that I said in like 3rd and 4th grade, not realizing I was a gay person. I don't look into the future at all, like relationship wise. I'm actually like kind of terrified of it.
You said your biggest fear was having a girlfriend.
Yeah, it is. I don't know why, but it definitely is. But when I think of the future, I think of me with Nick and Matt at like 80 and rocking chairs by like the beach or something. I don't think of me with like a family. That's, yeah.
Why are you afraid of having a girlfriend?
Honestly,
is it heartbreak? Is it commitment?
It's a little bit of everything, honestly.
Failing someone? Finding room for someone?
I just spilled water on my face. That was flattering. But I think my biggest fear of having a relationship is just like, I don't know. It starts with like just simple relationship things, and seeing it, I get like just cringed out a little. Like if I'm walking on the street and I see a couple, like I have this joke with Nick where I'm like, if I ever am sharing a scooter with someone, like that's probably gonna be the most life-changing day of all, because as of right now, I just feel so like that. Like if I ever am walking down the street and I see a couple sharing a scooter, I'm like, oh my God, that's my biggest fear. And I joke with my friends, like I could never get to that level. And I think it's just, I am very protective of my emotions. I've definitely been hurt in the past, and that probably has a majority to do with it. But even I've never dated someone ever in my life.
Is it weird doing it alone?
It's very, very, very extremely weird doing this alone. Yeah, for sure. This is like my first interview by myself ever. And even with Nick and Matt, I've only done like 1 or 2 interviews with them. So this is like really my first like real interview setting, and it's pretty fun. But I'm excited, I'm nervous, and it is definitely weird doing it without them. Everything I do without Nick and Matt, I'm like, this is very strange. Even as simple as like going to a store or something. Like some things that you would do that you would think is so normal, doing alone for me without my brothers is like, wow, this is crazy.
What made you want to do a solo interview? Because you did post that you want to start
Yeah.
doing interviews by yourself.
Yeah. Honestly, just being so tied to my triplet brothers on the internet and just every aspect of life, I was like, it would be fun to just like do one interview of just me and just see how it goes. It's kind of just fun for me and like challenging myself. I would say like personally, out of me, Matt, and Nick, I probably struggle the most without being with my brothers, I would think.
Why do you think so?
I think that Nick always just carries himself as like he's a good like he just like is good at being solo. Like Nick he could sit alone in his room, be fine. If I'm home and they're also home, I have to go hang with one of them. I'm not gonna like sit alone in my room when they're like right upstairs from me. You know what I mean? So it's like Nick always has been more independent, more like just more driven to do things on his own, and me and Matt are probably more of like, damn, we want our brothers around. But I just think like even sleeping, like I hate sleeping alone. I have my own room and I'll like take turns sleeping with my brothers like to this day in their rooms with them because I just hate being alone from them. It's crazy. It's a crazy like thing to experience being a triplet, and it's wild. We have an older brother.
Yeah, I feel bad for him.
I wouldn't say I feel bad for him because Justin, he's fine. He's chilling and he just gets it. Like, but like I think I love all my brothers equally. I just feel a more special connection.
It's just impossible.
Yeah, with Nick and Matt because it's like
You can't just,
it's like when Justin's my brother and I love him as equally as I do Nick and Matt, and I would do the same for Justin that I would Nick and Matt if he ever needed anything. But for me, it's like if I'm experiencing every waking moment with two people that are the exact same as me, school, in the same grade for the entirety of school. Obviously, we're always in the same grade, always going to classes together, always experiencing every moment together, going to friends' houses together. Like, it's obviously another level of like brotherhood. Like I'm like, yes, Justin's still my brother and I care for him, but he's not experiencing every single thing me, Matt, and Nick are. Like I could like relate to Nick and Matt about anything, where it's like Justin is like obviously older, he does his own thing, but he definitely, I do feel bad that he did face the challenge of having 3 younger brothers, but he wanted a younger sibling, so you got what you asked for, buddy.
Times 3.
There's 3 of us. I always felt like I wanted to do something creatively, so I think me and Nick are like Batman and Robin in this, because he likes editing, he likes creating content, and I love also coming up with creative ideas and doing stuff. So he definitely was a big factor of why we started, just with the like simple fact that he was into like videos and everything like that. And I think my assistance of like coming up with video ideas and enjoying it were just 2 main reasons of why it started and why it became such a big thing. It was definitely me and Nick. No hate to Matt.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what role does Matt play in this?
Matt, he just like he always loved YouTubers as well. Like Matt spends the most time indulging in content, I would say. Like he was probably the most one of us to like see the people on the line and be like, wow, I want to be like this person, or I want to like do that. And he also comes up with creative ideas. I just would say I like come up with more, and then and like, because I don't want to leave Matt fully out, but he's more of like once you have the plan, he joins in and he's ready to execute it and have fun. Like that's Matt's goal. He's not part of the step-by-step progress, but once it's there and ready to happen, he's ready.
Yeah, he does. He shows up and leaves.
Exactly. But he does it, and he's funny and he loves it.
Like, do you consider yourself famous?
No, definitely not. I even have friends back home that are like people back home that are like say like famous, and it's like probably my least favorite word, just because I just feel like famous is like, I don't know, the second I feel like someone's famous, I don't associate them to like regular life, and just I feel like it's just the word to me puts too much emphasis on an ordinary person's life, like saying they're famous. I feel like it's just too much, and it's just an overwhelming thought to think of myself as like famous. It freaks me out a little bit.
Do you consider yourself lucky?
I think I am lucky, but I would also say that I think me, Matt, and Nick deserve it just because of the amount of work we put in. So I would say more of like blessed and fortunate is how I feel.
I get that.
Yeah, because I do think that we worked really hard for what we have.
You've said that since you knew what gay was, you knew that he was gay.
Correct. Yeah. I just think like it wasn't that I like for sure guaranteed knew that Nick was gay, but growing up, like just our relationship with people, I would always like, as we were getting older and like relationships were happening around us, like in high school, middle school, I would always think of Nick like dating a girl, and it would just not make sense in my head. I'm like, I feel like that just wouldn't happen for some reason. I don't know. Like, and then when he came out, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know what it was that was making me think that, but I just never could really picture Nick in a relationship with a girl, and that's what really did it for me when he came out. Like when Nick came out, I was just like, oh, cool, like word, finally. I was just more happy and proud of him because now I'm like, now you can just do what you want, be yourself without feeling like there's this big secret looming in the air. Like I was just relieved. So it's like, I imagine how relieved I was when Nick came out. I could only imagine how relieved he felt when he came out.
Who'd you see that you were like, oh, this is...
It sounds so funny, but like the Dolan twins, it's just like hilarious because we're triplets, but it's just like, I saw them being like just a brother duo, like doing what they want on the internet. And
by the way, two icons.
Yeah, and then it's just like, it was just crazy. But seeing just YouTubers, who else? I forget. I try to think back to like when I was younger, who I was watching. But one thing about me is I forget everything.
By the way, like those two guys, like that set of twins, that's enough to prove to you that like you can do something here.
Definitely.
And, like, make a living and build a life.
Yeah, I was never like a diehard fan of like any YouTuber in specific, but I would always watch their videos and just think of how cool it was that it's like two brothers just doing fun stuff together and made a living out of it. The house caught on fire. It was really crazy point in time. It was just like one of those things where like you hear stories of that happening to people and you just never think it's going to happen to you. And then it does, and you're like, wow, like that's insane.
That's my
like,
biggest fear.
Yeah.
My house burning down.
My fear is now severe, like with fire. Just like even outside, if someone has a fire, I get super nervous. Inside, I always blow candles out and then I'll look at it and make sure that there's no flame that's going to come back. The stove, I'll always triple check that it's off, like shit like that. But fire definitely intimidates me a lot now. But yeah, it's scary. And then I remember me and Matt were home and we were sleeping in super late. We've always been the type to stay up late as hell. Like I like stay up till like 5, 6 in the morning, go to bed, sleep till like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And it was like 2 in the afternoon. We were sleeping in, me and Matt, and it was and Justin, we were all sleeping in super late. My mom had just gotten home from walking our dog, and then some cop was banging on our door and was like, come down, whatever. And then my mom was in the living room. She ran downstairs and she saw the cop and was like, what's going on? She's like, your house is on fire. Get everyone outside. If my mom wasn't home, life would be totally different. Cause I don't know if me and Matt would have like, so died
nobody
or not.
knew that it was, how could you
it started on the back porch, the fire from a cigarette from my aunt who lived beneath us. And it burnt up the back of the house. And then because all the doors were shut on the back, so it like had nowhere to go inside of the house. So it just kept going up the back. And the back of the house by level was like the first floor apartment, our kitchen, and then the man cave bedroom was like the 3rd floor on the back, like that. And then Nick was out of the house, so my mom thought the banging on the door was Nick, and he like forgot his key, and she was getting ready to like yell at him, like, "What? Why is he knocking so loud? Like he's gonna break the glass." So she went down there, opened the door, and it was a cop, and she's like, "Get everyone out." Me and Matt ran outside. It's like when people are always like, "Oh, if your house is on fire, what's the first thing you're grabbing?" You're not grabbing anything. You're getting outside because you have no idea where the fire is. If you're me and Matt, my older brother grabbed everything. Like,
how'd you become friends with the Sterniolo triplets?
Wait, that's such a funny question.
cheeky?
So I was a big fan of them. I became fans of them like kind of in the beginning of their career, honestly. And I just really thought they were so funny, and like I always kind of find these YouTubers like that I am obsessed with. So I would watch them for a while, and I followed them on Instagram. I think I was Instagram Live making a gingerbread house, and Nick commented in the live. And I was like, oh my God. And my mom was like, she's a fan of Sternial. I was like, Mom, you're embarrassing me. Like, I need to look cool. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, hey, Nick, like, big fan. And yeah, we just like, we all followed each other on Instagram for a minute. And then we hung out once. And they're just like my brothers, dude. Like, they're just so funny and normal. And they're not like weird and like jaded in LA. And like, yeah, they always like, we always just have like the most wholesome fun. Like, we like paint things or whatever. But yeah, like they're really cool people. I'm really happy and glad to know them. But yeah, the three of them they're the best. They're just like, I have like a gang of older brothers. It's sick.